Do you want to know what's happening around the world of sports? Look no further than The Bench with your host, Blaine Owl.
Welcome back, everybody. It is January 15th, a Wednesday. We are back on The Bench. We are going to go ahead and discuss a couple things that I forgot on Monday's episode. Right off the bat, the NFC Championship games from last week. The 49ers stomped through the Vikings, a decisive victory. Garoppolo played well. The whole offense for the Niners is just clicking. And then that defense, obviously led by Nick Bosa. He had 3 sacks, quite a few QB pressures, and a couple plays I just saw him really just coming in and hitting people with some authority. So the Niners, they had one of the best seasons in the NFL throughout the regular season. No one really saw that coming, and right now they're the team I'm rooting for. Jimmy G, they got it clicking. They got George Kittle, the tight end. He's a beast, nearly unstoppable, and obviously Nick Bosa, former Ohio State player. They will be going up against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, though. Devontae Adams, Rodgers, that connection against the Seahawks was nearly also unstoppable last Sunday. It was just a superb offensive game plan for the Packers. Good to see them back after not been there in a while. Rodgers is playing well. The defense is something that the Packers maybe aren't obviously known for a whole lot, but their defense held Russell Wilson, in the Seahawks to 23 points. So their defense is clicking also. Definitely look out for the Packers, but in the regular season, let's go ahead and take this one back. The Niners crushed the Packers at home in San Fran. That's where the Packers have to go back to. Let's hope that it's not a repeat. We always want a good game when it comes down to the championships. Winner to the Super Bowl. The next game was obviously the Titans versus the Ravens. Who would have thought? I was talking to Coach Neese up in the weight room the other day. And the first thing he asked me was, what was a lesson you can learn from that Titans-Ravens game? And, before I could even answer, he finished his sentence by saying, any given team can be beat on any given night. And that is as true of a statement as I've ever heard. Then he obviously brought up what happened to us at West Carrollton last season. Obviously the heavy favorite, they hadn't won a game. We went in there overconfident, and look what happened. We came out with a loss. I'm not saying that the Ravens did that because it's more unlikely to go in super confident in the NFL, knowing if you're in that game specifically, it's going to be a good game. But again, Derrick Henry, the Titans, he's a beast. What else can you say? 180 yards back-to-back games. The switch from quarterback midseason from Mariota to Tannehill, one of the better decisions I've seen throughout the NFL. Vrabels is obviously leading the Titans into battle as they will take on the Chiefs, who they also beat in the regular season, and a closer one than the Packers 49ers. But something to definitely look out for is both teams have played each other in the regular season and are looking up to meet again, one for revenge and maybe the other two to complete the sweep. With that being said, we go on to the national championship. I just got a big smile on my face. I'm happy for the LSU Tigers. I'm happy for Joe Burrow. The state of Louisiana. What a season for the LSU Tigers. Undefeated. Had 5, 6, 7 top 10 teams that they beat. They obviously took down a really good Clemson team, but the Clemson Tigers just did not have the firepower on offense throughout the night in the second half specifically to keep up with Joe Burrow. The first quarter or two, watching that, I was like, hey, maybe Clemson's going to do this one again. But Joe Burrow, took that hit right before halftime, completing a pass for a touchdown. That kind of sparked everything. They got out of halftime. They gave up a quick touchdown, but they started rolling. Jamar Chase is just a sophomore, which is absolutely terrifying if you're any opponent that has to play LSU next year, because he'll be back. He had over 180 yards receiving. Jefferson was going insane all night. They would go 5 wide. they'd snap the ball and they would tell, hey, Joe, find your man. And it was just, it's like I heard earlier in the season, it's literally an NFL offense and playing in college. You have an NFL quarterback, you have NFL receivers, you have NFL linemen, you have an NFL running back. What else could you ask for? I mean, I don't even know if that was honestly fair what they did this season to people, especially through the air. I saw that Joe ended with 460 something passing yards, like 5 touchdowns, which is just an unreal number. That's why he won the Heisman. So great season for the LSU Tigers, a great season for the Clemson Tigers. Both programs are definitely going to be set for the future. Trevor Lawrence is back next year, which is also another terrifying thing if you have to play Clemson. So we'll see what happens next year, but congratulations to the LSU Tigers. And one more thing, on the scores that I was announcing the other day on the Instagram post, I do have to say so myself, and I'll give a shout out to AJ because we were both 1 point off the total points. He had 66 and ended up being 67. I had 66 and ended up being 67. I had it 42-25, and Clemson had 24. So me and AJ were nearly spot on with the score, but that's what it is. Maybe a little luck there, but also you got to know the game. And before we head into high school basketball, we're going to talk about some coaching changes around the NFL. Kevin Stefanski is going to the Browns. Ron Rivera is going to head to Washington, D.C. for the Redskins. Matt Rule out of Baylor is going to go into the Panthers and become the new head coach there. Along with him is Joe Brady, passing coordinator from none other than the LSU offense. Like I said, heading back to the NFL to join Rule at the Panthers. And then obviously the big one is Mike McCarthy is heading to Dallas, becoming the Cowboys head coach. Kind of scary. Jerry Jones, he doesn't play around. He loves his Cowboys, wants to see them win. Mike McCarthy obviously had fantastic years in Green Bay. So look for him to come in and hopefully get the Cowboys back in the postseason. Now we head into high school basketball here at Piqua. Our boys secured one of the best wins that I've heard of in a long time, maybe the last 2 or 3 years. They beat Butler on the road last night, 60-57. Excuse me. All starters. There were six or seven kids that played throughout the game. Everybody scored within 5 to 12 points. I heard it was a rebounding, a lot of rebounds for the Indians. Tight defense led to them beating one of the better teams in the NBL, who just came out and annihilated us the first game of the year, 70-43 or something like that. So obviously we're getting things changed around. I've heard it's just been an attitude thing. People are more energy, more talking, and that's what's going to happen in basketball. That's what it's about. One game on to the other. They've won I think 5 of their last 6. They've moved to a 6-7 overall record. They get a chance this Friday at Sydney to get that record even at 7-7, get some revenge on Sydney, and so we'll see. The boys are rolling right now. On to girls as they head to Sydney tonight. The game will be tape delayed on the Indian Nation station. Commentary by me, Blaine Newell, and Iverson Ventura will be joining me on the call. So look out for that game to be uploaded, by tomorrow at least for sure. As the girls took a bad loss to Sydney early in the year. But, talking to some of the girls on the team, they said that was by far one of their worst games they've played all season. It just wasn't well put together. So they definitely have a lot of confidence that they can turn that around and, get a big win tonight against Sydney as they roll on, having one of the best seasons, just as last year, carrying right on. They're looking to, get Sydney and then, just keep chugging through the season. With that being said, we head to college basketball now, just real quick. I mentioned it on Monday's episode. The Ohio State basketball team was frustrating me. With that, they finally got a win last night. They beat Nebraska. I think it was 80-66. If I'm pretty sure that was the score. AJ said that was the score. But that's finally good. They dropped all the way back to 21 and the top 25. But it's good that they finally got a win. They got rolling. I saw Chris Holtman on the stand last night. He said it was the first time he's been up there to talk to media in a good mood in a while, and I wouldn't blame him after 4 or 5 straight losses. So good for Ohio State. but also some concerning news. Chris Holtmann had to bench and suspend 2 of his starters, Luther Muhammad and Dwayne Washington, both point guards for the Buckeyes, both sophomores. He said they've had some attitude issues. They need a reality check maybe. They're just not, their attention to detail has not been what it needs to be in practice. Their focus has just not been there. A couple of things that I saw about him talking about that. So he suspended them for at least last night's game, and he said it is a day-to-day decision as they head into Friday, where they will play Penn State, another Big Ten basketball team that is having a good year. Maybe not what they want, but they're having a good year in the Big Ten. So, something to keep an eye out, is Dwayne Washington and Luther Muhammad going to come back, because those are 2 starters for the Buckeyes. So Chris Holtmann sounded, enthusiastic that they are hard workers, and they'll find their way back in. They just maybe needed a check here or there to say, hey, get your head right. Those 4 losses in a row can, like I said, diminish a team, no matter what team or who you are. So good to see them win and back on the right track. And we'll see as we got January, February, and then March in a couple months, and before you know it, March Madness will be here. With that being said, look out for that game tomorrow on Indian Nation Station, tape delayed commentary by myself and Iverson Ventura on the girls' game as they look to beat Sydney. We look forward to seeing you if you get out there tonight. It should be a good game, a packed house, and go Indians. With that being said, I am Blaine Owl. This has been The Bench, and we will not be having an episode on Friday, so we'll see you next Monday. Have a good weekend, and thank you for tuning in.